and welcome to another episode of Velocity PT Academy's Velocity Radio podcast. I'm Ben, and I'm here today with Teejay.
Hi, Ben.
Hi, Teejay. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks.
Just to give you guys an introduction regarding Teejay. Teejay is an ex-student of mine. I remember delivering the course for a personal training and fitness instructing with you. And from there, we kind of hit it off. From qualifying, this wasn't soon. I mean, I qualified Teejay quite a few moons ago, and she's gone on and done great things within the fitness industry, and she's kind of really took the ball and run, as what I would say, and kind of made it her own. And so I'm very excited to get Teejay on today. I know she will give definitely some good content in regards to making you think about the bigger picture when it comes to fitness and training. So without further ado, Teejay, could I just get you to do a brief introduction about yourself, please?
Sure. If you're that complimentary about me, I'll come back every week. So, my name is Teejay. I'm Leeds-based. I'm based in sort of Burley Park, Headingley area. Mm-hmm. You'll hear from my funny accent that I'm not quite a local lass. I grew up in Zimbabwe and went to university in South Africa.
Right.
Trained originally as a journalist.
Mm-hmm.
I worked as a journalist for a little while. But working as a journalist in South Africa can be quite a difficult, difficult thing. You see quite a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah.
So when I moved to England in 2005, it was mostly because I had a younger sister in Zimbabwe who needed her education paying for.
Right.
So I moved here.
Yeah.
At that point. And I sold my soul to the devil and went into recruitment.
Recruitment? How dare you?
How very dare you?
Yeah.
Yes, my father said that. He said, I spent so much money on your journalism degree. Why are you doing recruitment?
I bet many people probably listening or have worked in that recruitment and they'll know exactly what you're on about. So
it's a proper sell your soul to the devil kind of a job. I mean, you make pretty good money. Mm-hmm. A little bit more than I'm making now. But, and I worked in recruitment for 10 years.
10 years?
10 years. I worked for one company that was okay, and one company that was brilliant.
Right,
So of all of the devil-type companies out there, I actually chose a couple of the better ones.
Oh, that's good.
And I had a really, really good time with a company called Network Marketing in Leeds.
Right,
And I got to the point where I was sort of 36 and thinking, I can't sit in an office all day. When the sun's shining, I can't sit in the office all day.
Yeah.
It's just awful.
Yeah.
So I made a jump and I came to see you.
Yes.
It's actually 3 years on Monday.
No way.
Yeah,
3 years on Monday.
Yeah.
Gosh, I wish I was so organised with knowing the dates and everything. I'm
organising some anniversary celebrations that I know.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I've got a handful of clients who've been with me since day one.
Fantastic.
So they want to get together and do a celebration.
Yeah. 3 years of personal training with your client.
3 years of being a PT.
Yes, fantastic. So you kind of touched on your journalism there, Teejay. What type of things? Because it wasn't just low level journalism that you were doing, was it? You were looking at sort of national stuff within South Africa.
I worked as a news reporter for a little while.
Yeah.
But news reporting in South Africa can be quite hectic. There's a lot of violence. There's a lot of crime.
Yeah.
And eventually that starts to weigh on you. So I thought, after a while, I thought, no, I'm going to go to sports because at least then, when you go to the stadiums and you set up your computer in the press pit, then they bring you lunch and a couple of beers.
So
I was like, that sounds like an awesome job.
Yeah, just being able to sit down and get a nice bit of free entertainment whilst you're doing it at the same time.
And you sit kind of almost front row centre.
Yeah,
you know.
Gosh, they're the best seats. You pay a lot of money for them. Yeah.
And you sit down, you set up your laptop, and someone comes along and says, have you had lunch today? Would you like a beer with your lunch? I go, oh, yes, I did. I did some very creative writing during some of those matches, I can tell you.
Yeah, I bet you did, yeah. Couple of shandies deep into it.
Oh, I'll tell you. Shandies?
No, you don't do them. Don't do them in South Africa.
We don't do shandies.
Pass me a beer.
Pass me a beer or 7.
Yeah.
Like I did quite a lot of stuff around national hockey and followed the Springboks for a while as well in the Tri Nations. So that was one of my, like, really, the sports reporting was my favorite ever job, I think.
Yeah. I always kind of remember when you did the course with myself, TJ, when we went down into the gym.
Yeah.
And you had your notepad and your pen.
Yeah.
And you were continuously writing stuff down,
Yeah.
which normally people may take a few notes, but you were very meticulous almost in writing stuff down.
Yeah.
And I remember you always saying, "I'm sorry, that's just my inner journalist coming out here."
Inner journalist comes out. Always carry a pen. Always carry a notebook.
Yeah.
And I still prefer to write things down rather than to type them out.
Yeah.
There's a feeling that you get from sitting down to structure a training plan or whatever, to just do it like pen and paper
by hand.
You know?
Yeah.
I might transcribe it a little later if I've got the time, but there's something about sitting down and clearing away all the other distractions, phone off, computer off.
Yeah.
Clear everything away and then just let your creative mind go.
It is. Yeah, you are more creative with just a pen and paper though, aren't you? I mean, you can just write things in a certain way and on the page that kind of means something more to you than rather than black and white on the keyboard. And like you say, the amount of distractions that you've got on your laptop now, it can be crazy, can't it?
Notifications popping up all left, right,
noises
center,
coming at you all the time, and emails dropping in your inbox, and you're thinking,
You can be just in a really good spot when you're really concentrating really well, and then your phone goes, and all it is some BBC News alert.
Yeah.
But then your concentration's broken, and you have to find that space again. That can be quite tricky.
Try and get into that flow, that creative flow again. Yeah. It's tough. Yeah, because I've kind of got a few experience of that. I do quite a bit of writing now for magazines.
Okay.
And it's so difficult sometimes to just switch off. And I've had to find myself where the phone stays downstairs.
Yes.
I switch the Wi-Fi off on my computer. Yeah. And then I've just literally just got to sit down in a room by myself so then I can just concentrate. Because obviously what you write, you want to ensure that it's good quality writing as well. And not just garbage that you've pulled from somewhere else.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'll come back to that after probably off air and I'll get a few tips off you for writing.
No problem.
But from what I've taken, beer is the answer to creative writing.
The answer is to creative writing.
Oh, fantastic. So away from journalism then, TJ, you said that you moved back. You moved to England, there, and then you worked in recruitment for a certain period of time. So from there, what then got you into fitness? So was there any point that you kind of thought, right, I'm thinking about fitness now, I'm going to make the jump to fitness now? So were there any triggers or anything like that?
Absolutely. I did, when I arrived in 2005, I did what most African women do, which is they keep on eating like they've always eaten, but they don't necessarily do the exercise that they've always done.
Oh, okay.
Because the lifestyle in Zimbabwe is a little bit different. Mm-hmm. So that starts at school. So in Zimbabwe, school starts at 7 a.m. but finishes at 1. Right. Then you have lunch and rest till 2, and then you do at least 3 hours of sport, 2 till 5 every day. Yeah. And so all kids in Zimbabwe are sporty. Yeah,
that's a hell of a lot more than what we do over here.
And it's kind of, some of it is formalized, but it's just that actually the weather is better all the time. So you live a more outside lifestyle. Everyone's got a swimming pool in their backyard, so everyone's part of a swimming club. Yeah. You know, there's nice places to cycle, so everyone does loads of cycling. Mm-hmm. And when I came to England, over a period of about 4, 5, 6 years, I put on a tremendous amount of weight. So I found myself at the age of 30 in a bit of a difficult health situation. Right. I was a size 26, so I was pretty hefty. I was having problems with my hips and my lower back because I was carrying quite a lot of weight. There's a history of kind of osteo problems in the family anyway. My mum had a double hip replacement by the time she was 55. Right. And my gran has like a crumbling spine, and you know there's some osteo difficulties. And I kept on looking at them and going, I don't want that as my future. And so I was in quite a dire situation. I went to see my GP, and luckily I got hold of a South African locum who was doing some work at my local GP surgery. And that was perhaps the turning point, because I said, what I don't want is this polite British, you should possibly try to lose a bit of weight. I want to know the very, very clear picture of where I am in terms of my physical health. So was that GP quite straight talking? Totally straight talking. Yeah. Culturally, you are in Zimbabwe and South Africa. You are very straight talking. There's no, perhaps you should, maybe you could. It's just like, you are carrying too much weight. It is putting too much pressure on your heart. It is destroying your joints.
Yeah.
You need to grow up and do something about it.
Right.
So,
do you think that'd help a little bit if maybe the GPs were a little bit more straight talking?
I absolutely think that would help.
Yeah, it would.
We've got too used to doing gently.
And
we've got a massively growing obesity problem.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get when you start growing up in a world full of participation awards. I think.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
100%.
I think that sometimes you can be too courteous to people. Obviously, they may be thinking of a backlash, and they're probably just told from the superiors and whoever's training them that they need to be this sort of way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, such as like the BMI scale. If you think of the BMI scale, a lot of people probably listening and be like, "Oh, BMI is a little shit," and all that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's just a generalised thing for 98% of the population that GPs need to be able to tell people what the risks of
it's a
weight
broad
is.
Scale thing, isn't it?
Exactly, and the majority of people that don't fit within that 2% kind of outliers of the 98% of the general population will literally not like the BMI scale just because of the terminologies that it uses.
Absolutely.
Underweight, normal, overweight, obese, stage 2 obesity. I mean, nobody wants to be called them.
No.
So that's why a lot of people will just shoo it and say that they don't like it. Oh, it's a load of shit. They don't think about how much muscle that you're holding. Well, I'm sorry, mate, but you're still 25% body fat. So I mean, and it's not all muscle that's carrying there. You're not in those 2% outliers. But that being said, just general thoughts. I can easily see people just getting the BMI taken, see it written down on a piece of paper, and think, what do they know? And put it away.
Yeah, I mean, the softly approach clearly didn't work for me.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because the GPs were saying your blood pressure's increasing, and your weight's increasing, and you don't need to tell a fat person they're fat. They know. Yes. So a GP saying this is affecting your health, we know that. Mm-hmm. That's not rocket science. We know that we struggle to find clothes that fit us, that we struggle to get out of bed in the morning. Yeah. So a totally different approach, I think, is absolutely necessary. Yeah. And I was really lucky in that I found a South African locum, and I was like, I want you to tell me, no holds barred, tell me exactly where I'm at right now. And boy, did she. She went I came out of there and I was like, oh my God. Yeah. And she was like, you need to go on blood pressure meds now. Right. Yeah. My resting heart rate was well over 100. It was like 106, 107, my resting heart rate. Crikey. My lower back was sore all the time. My knees were sore all the time. My hips were sore all the time. She sent me for a bunch of scans because of the osteo issues in the family. And then so when she said you need to be on blood pressure meds, it was just after my 30th birthday. Right. And
which is relatively young.
It's very relatively young. But I mean, I'd been piling on the weight quite quickly. Yeah. And I had just come back from Disney. I went to Disney for my 30th. Right, brilliant. Because everyone should go to Disney in their 30s before kids come, you know. Yeah, that one last chance to behave like a 2-year-old.
I hope my wife's not listening.
Sorry. Sorry, Ben. Your life might get a little bit more expensive now.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Come back with some Mickey Mouse ears in September. Yeah.
I had kind of steadily been putting on weight, and when I went to America, we went in the August, and Florida. How stupid were we? Florida in August is awful. The humidity is so high, and the temperature is so high. I couldn't cool myself down. Right. So the only place I felt comfortable was in the shower or in the swimming pool. Right. You know, and we were supposed to be like going on all the rides. I was like, I just can't go and stand in the queues for hours and hours on end because queuing at Disney takes a long time. Yes. But my back hurt, my legs hurt, my knees hurt, and I was just, it was so uncomfortable, and I was so hot, and because I couldn't cool myself down, I was super grumpy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it wasn't the best trip. I mean, I had fun. Don't get me wrong, but. The only place I was really comfortable was in the shower or in the swimming pool. Right. So I started. My GP said you need to go on blood pressure meds, and I was like, you need to give me 3 months to work out what to do next. Mm-hmm. I was talking to my stepmom, the WSM as she's called in our family, the wicked stepmom.
Oh, right. Yeah.
She's not at all wicked. She just calls herself the wicked stepmom.
Right, yeah.
She's wonderful, actually. She's one of my best mates. And she said she's Dutch.
Right.
And the English translation from the Dutch language is very straightforward talking.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no sugarcoating of anything.
That just comes out. So I bet it's a family full of straight talkers, like you guys.
Absolutely, a family full of straight talkers. If you are being a douchebag, you are told straight, but perhaps not in such polite terms. And she said, it took you like 6 years to get fat like that. It should take you at least 3 to get fitter again. And she didn't say thinner; she said fitter. Fitter. And the idea of thin, fitter. Mm-hmm. And longer term kind of struck a chord immediately. Yeah. But what I didn't have was any data. So I was like, I agreed to go back and see the GP in a month. And I was like, I just want to go away for a month and work out what to do. Yeah. So for a month, I just wrote everything down, right? What time I was going to bed, how I was feeling when I went to bed, what I ate through the day, what time I woke up, how I felt when I woke up. And I kind of covered one of the walls in paper. And every time I just gathered loads of data. Right, so everything from how I felt to how my body felt to what I was putting in it to what I was getting out of it to how much energy I was using to kind of what my actual energy levels were for a month. That's so
analytical. That's brilliant.
For a month. I didn't change anything for a month. And then after a month, I sort of stood back from the wall, and if anyone came into my house that month, it would have been, they would have like sent me to a loony bin, I think, because it would have been like, there's a beautiful mind thing happening here.
I was gonna say, it's like almost one of those murder mysteries when you walk in, you see everything on the wall.
All this weird stuff's on the wall.
She feels like what?
It's like what? Crazy woman. Yeah. But then I started to see patterns. Yeah. So, because I was socially isolated. I hadn't really gotten used to living in England yet. A lot of my relationships were still based in South Africa, so I was travelling to and from South Africa quite a lot. Okay. So I didn't really have a friendship circle, and I had isolated myself. Kind of my closest friend was my brother. At the time, he lived in Manchester. He lives in Leeds now, and he's still my best mate. Right. But I was coming home from work. And having nothing else to do, so I was making a massive 3-course meal. Right. And then eating that quite late. Mm-hmm. And then being and really massive portions. And I would have takeaways 3-4 times a week. Right. Well. Oh gosh. So when I ordered a Chinese, I would order a Chinese for 4, and I'd eat all of it. Right. Yeah. So really, I was in trouble with the eating. And
did you find that were something that you kind of built up to, or was it always like from back home? There were always big portions,
we've always been a family of big eaters.
Right. Yeah.
And my dad's side of the family are sort of relatively small and quite sporty. My mum's side of the family are all that little bit bigger, but not particularly sporty. Yeah. So I was kind of in that in between, but I was going. I had gone to the big side. Yeah. I was still the smallest in the family, apart from my brother, but on my mum's side of the family, they all have weight issues. Right. Okay. And so with all the data, I then sort of worked out the patterns. So I was only going to bed at 2:00 at night because I'd eaten so much I couldn't sleep. Right, yeah, right? And just that digestion and all that, yeah. Your stomach's really full and you feel a bit sick and, it's awful. So I was going to bed about 2:00, having to get up at 7:30 to get to work by 8:30, getting the train into work. But by then you're tired, so you want more energy. So I was stopping in the train station. 3 Millie's cookies and a bacon bagel and a big bottle of orange juice. I mean,
that's so easy in Leeds train station to do.
Right? Yeah, it's so easy. And then by 11:00 I was crashing off of all of that sugary stuff. Yeah. But there was a bakery downstairs from my office, so straight down cake. Right. Lunch 1:00, massive baked potato with double portions of mincemeat and cheese. And then by 4:00 in the afternoon you're crashing again. Yeah. So back down to the bakery, and then you're not particularly hungry when you get home at 7. Yeah. So 8:00 you're ordering a takeaway, and you're ordering a takeaway big enough for 4 people and just eating all of it.
And then eating, yeah.
So then you're stuck in that cycle. You don't want to go anywhere. You don't want to see anything. My time at the weekends was spent at the cinema. Right. So I used to go with my backpack full of food, sit in the cinema, buy tickets for 3 movies in a row.
Yeah.
And then just go from cinema to cinema with my backpack full of food and just eat all day because it was
Bloody
dark
hell.
and then no one could see me do it.
Ah, yeah, of
So
course.
the shame was hidden.
And it's quite, and it is like kind of putting the points together. It's quite sedentary as well, isn't it? Just sitting in the cinema and and then So when you're looking at that food eating pattern, quite a lot of it is like high GI foods, high sugary foods, which is why you were then crashing and feeling hungry. And when you do go through that sugar crash, you're almost wanting, I call them smash and grab foods, because you're just wanting them really quick and just something to just kind of ease that craving. That's what you want.
And it flips between salt and sugar.
Right, yeah,
so you fancy something salty, and then after you've had something salty, you want something sugary.
Yeah.
And then a little while later you're crashing, so you do the same thing
again.
It's
a little sweet, savoury cycle that you find yourself in there.
It's hectic. So I also looked at, in that month where I was doing all the analysis, I looked at all the stuff I had tried to do beforehand to get myself out of the cycle that I was in.
Okay.
And I had tried joining new gyms, I had tried personal trainers, I had tried any number of things. And the problem I found with, I tried 6 personal trainers in that time.
6?
6.
So,
at different gyms.
Right, yeah.
And a mix of men and women. And the common thread with all of them was they had never existed in a big body. So they didn't know what it was to move your body when you were big. So without fail, every single one of them tried at their first session to put me on the treadmill for 20 minutes.
Right.
Okay. Now, if you're a size 26 and your resting heart rate is 110, you can't run on a treadmill for 20 minutes.
No, you'd be struggling.
Everything hurts.
Especially if the GP is looking to put you on blood pressure tablets at the same time. And size 26, you can only imagine the weight and stress on the joints whilst you're running. Do you know what I mean? Running is very, very hard.
It's high impact. You know.
Did you get the feeling that the personal trainers that you've used then, they had dealt with larger clientele? Or do you think they were almost doing what they perceived was the thing that they should be doing, or
I think
what they've maybe read from a book?
It was very formulaic.
Right.
There was no creative thought.
Got you.
Like this woman, if I put her on a treadmill, which is in the middle of the gym, where all of the boys are in the free weight section, and trying to throw big weights around. The women are all sitting on a bike doing spinning or whatever, as generally tends to go in a gym, or certainly at that time. It's changing a bit now.
Yeah, your big commercial gyms are like that though. Yeah. Everything's formalised.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And nobody, of all 6 of the PTs that I tried, nobody had the wherewithal to go, actually the treadmill's possibly not right for this person. Let's start them on a bike to take the pressure off the joints. Or let's try rowing, or a mixture of kind of a cross trainer or whatever, anything other than that. Every single one of them put me on a treadmill. And then I was like, but why am I paying you 40 quid?
You could do that yourself very easily.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you could just go outside and walk.
I am naturally quite sporty. I was big, but I've grown up my whole life doing sport, and in Zimbabwe you have to do all the sports. You don't really get a choice. If your class year is doing tennis that term, you play tennis. If they're doing squash, you do squash. If they're doing athletics, you do athletics. And each kid has to hit minimum standards for each of those sports.
Crazy. Imagine trying to bring that in England.
That would transform English schools. That would transform English schools.
There'd be an outrage though. It's like you're calling my kid unfit. What are you talking about? Piers Morgan would love that in the morning though, if that came in.
That would be brilliant, just to see him rant.
So just looking back on that then, when you're talking about those personal trainers and kind of everything that they did were very formulated and it almost were like they obviously didn't know what it were like. You now, TJ, like you've obviously got the knowledge, the education, the application, and also the experience of what needs to be done when you do get a larger client. At that time, because people listening may be like asking, why don't you just say? But the reason you don't say is because at that time you wouldn't have known yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also that there's a lot of kind of empathy as well that comes towards that in that you maybe don't want to say because you've hired this person because you believe that they should know everything that should be done in order to get you towards the goal.
It's quite a responsible position.
Yeah, it is.
Being a PT. And so when clients come to you, they assume, rightly or wrongly, that you know everything that is going on with them and that you are able to control the entire environment.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's your responsibility as a PT to take that seriously and to go, actually, I'm not sure that I'm the right PT for you. Or I'm not in an environment where I'm allowed to be as creative as I like with you.
Yeah. Just being more open,
yes.
I think, as a personal trainer can be very beneficial
Absolutely.
as well. Maybe like if they'd have taken a step back and have said, "Hi, TJ, this is actually first time that I'm going to be doing this. This is my first, let's say, for example, this is my first 6-month personal training. I'm fresh out of school."
Yeah.
If they're maybe open with you, and then they can say, we're going to do this. I can be very positive with you, but we're going to do it together.
Yeah, we're a team.
We're going to look into it together, and obviously I want what works for you, and together we can come together and create the goal that's the overall weight loss. But
so I had been quite clear with them from the beginning that overall weight loss wasn't my end goal.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So the thing, if we go back to all of the crazy writing on the wall stuff, I had always focused on the numbers.
Right.
So the purpose of writing the list of everything I had done it previously was to go, none of that stuff worked for me, therefore I'm not doing it anymore. I'm going to do it slightly differently.
Yeah.
And so I stopped talking in numbers.
Right.
My GP wanted to weigh me and measure me every 3 months. And I was like, I'm prepared to do that, but I don't ever want you to tell me the numbers.
Right.
I'll know if I'm feeling better.
Yeah. And that's one thing that's very subjective. I mean, we cannot, like as a trainer, I cannot know how it feels to be you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why sometimes it can be very, you can be caught up on numbers and the statistics.
Yeah.
Almost too much.
Absolutely.
Almost too much because you're always looking for progression, especially if you're from a fitness sporty background. You're always got that drive of competition, more's better, progression. So therefore you're wanting to see this linear progression within numbers, whereas sometimes it may even help to just take a step back and and think of things that aren't so statistically measured. Yes.
How do you feel when you get out of bed in the morning?
Exactly. How do you feel? I've made this person more confident. They have more self-esteem. All these things that are not measurable.
Yes.
But feel a hell of a lot better personally when you've achieved that with a client. Yeah.
Some of the biggest successes I have as a personal trainer are when a client says to me, when I started with you, and I had this conversation with somebody last week, when I started with you, I was really self-conscious whenever I was out doing things with my kids because she has 2 kids and her husband is quite sporty and her kids are really, really sporty, and she was a little bit bigger and really, really unfit. She wasn't not very big, but just kind of slightly bigger than average, and she just felt really self-conscious.
Right.
And the kids like to do things like go to trampoline centers. And she was always like, oh, I just hate it when they say that because I just have to sit in the corner because I don't have the confidence to do it.
Right.
And now she's the one that's like, let's go trampolining, guys.
Yeah.
So she runs around with the kids every weekend. The whole family has got bikes. I've taught her how to cycle. We're actually going, her session tomorrow is we're going for a cycle.
Brilliant.
She's progressing really, really well, but the really important thing to come out of it is she spends more time running around the garden being a lunatic with her kids.
That's it. Yeah,
that's victory for me. More than any. Yes, you've lost 10 pounds. I don't care about that number. I personally don't think that number is important at all.
Yeah.
When I tell people the story of how I've come from being a size 26 to where I am now, they say, how much weight have you lost? And I have to say, I haven't been weighed in 10 years. I don't know. I don't even care.
Yeah.
Don't even care.
I mean, the confidence and of yourself, it just kind of thrives off you. It kind of there's an aura around you, TJ, that you're obviously very, very happy of where you're at now anyway. Which, we kind of brushed on the point anyway. But I think what you do with your guys is you you think of the term personal training, and you split it into two separate parts.
Yes.
You've got your personal part, and you've got your training part.
Yeah.
The training part is statistics, measurements, having a look at kind of distance over speed that you're covering on the treadmill and all that type of stuff. The personal part is sometimes what a lot of people lose, and what a lot of people don't don't pay attention to. And the personal things such as how is my client feeling? What is the impact on the joints during this? Where am I training them in the gym? Is this going to make them feel uncomfortable? And things. So all of that stuff, like personal training, it's a phrase. Don't just be 50% of a personal trainer. Look to be a full 100% personal trainer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're looking at that then, TJ, when because I know from stories that we've talked about before in the past, with what you do with your clients. You mentioned that you're going on a bike, go out on the bikes with your client tomorrow. What other things do you do that are more personal to the in your client's training, compared to say like a gym-based personal trainer that just does it in the gym?
So I'm obviously an outdoor-based trainer. I don't use gyms at all.
Right.
The only time I would really go into a gym is if one of my clients had really bad joints and we wanted to get kind of some good cardio work done, and they wanted to try swimming. I would take them swimming, basically. So because I was very lucky growing up in Zimbabwe, where you essentially get forced to try every sport possible. I've got basic skills in most sports.
That's good.
Available. So what I tend to do is sort of say, listen, for the first 6 months, let's just do, because most of the people that I train come from having done no exercise for 5, 10, 15 years. So for the first 6 months, let's just do one session a week.
Right.
Okay? Because it's got to fit into your life. As soon as you start shoehorning it into your life, it's not sustainable.
Yes.
But we want you to be a fit, healthy 80-year-old. So while you're 40, let's start making strides towards that. Okay. So let's just say, let's come and see me once a week for the first 6 months. Your body and your mind will tell you when you feel like you can do that little bit more. And when you are ready for that, then let's sit down and have that discussion. What else do you want to do? What do you fancy? Like, have you ever played tennis? Have you done table tennis? Have you been hiking in the mountains? Have you? Do you own a bike? Do you go cycling? Do you go swimming in the rivers around Ilkley ever? If not, why not? It's great fun. And then, well, I'm so scared. Well, I'm a really good swimmer. I'll take you. Fantastic. Let's just try everything. Let's play squash. Let's play golf. Let's whatever.
I think what's really good there is that you turn the fitness into a hobby for them.
Yes.
So rather than, again, like you say, shoehorning exercise into the getting them into a gym, making them feel like, oh, I've got to put my trainers on. I need to get a nice fancy water bottle. I need to wear some nice clothes because I need to look the part in the gym and all that type of stuff. You've actually now found them a hobby. Which is an active hobby. So it could be, like you said, going bike riding, playing squash. I mean, your clients probably never even thought that they've had an active hobby, but they've probably never tried at the same time. So, and if you can build and instill that into your client's daily lifestyle, like you said, rather than saying you've got to go to the gym, you've got to attend the gym and buy your membership and all that. There's so much more stuff that you can do.
All it needs is a bit of an open mind and a bit of a creative thinking and actually a sitting down and going. Most of the people that come to me because the gym system fails for them. They don't like being in the gym. It's intimidating. Women specifically find formal gym settings intimidating. Okay. And that is 100% true of all of my female clients. They came to me because the gym system failed for them. And that's because every personal trainer they ever saw wanted them on a progressive numbers-based plan. And as humans, we're not robots. Everything in our life is asking for consistency. So the KPIs that you've got at work, the targets that you've got at work, are worked out on an annual basis. And they say, if you will get your annual bonus if you do these things consistently for 12 months. But we're not robots. Life gets in the way of a best laid plan.
It does, yeah. I mean, have you ever seen that graph that people say people think success? People think success looks like this,
yes,
but actually it's this squiggly
like
line
this.
before you get there, and things do crop up. TJ, like you said, holidays happen, mortalities happen in holidays.
Some people get sick, their kids get sick, whatever. And I always try to be as flexible as possible with them. So I run my diary on a week-by-week basis.
Yeah.
Some people like the kind of stability and frequency of Monday 6:30 every week. Some people have work schedules, which mean 1 week it's going to be 2 p.m. on Monday, 1 week it's going to be 6 p.m. on Wednesday, or anything in between.
Yeah.
So we can just fit things in. And then on the weekend, I text everybody and I say, don't forget, your next session with me is on Wednesday at 6 p.m. And that's their opportunity to go, actually, a meeting's come up at work, can you move me?
Yeah.
And because I use that system, and there's always an open channel of communication, and I have maybe less than 5% a year of missed sessions.
5%?
Less than 5%.
Yeah. So guys that are listening to this, I mean, you might be PTs and you might be thinking, I don't have 5% a day. Never mind a year. So, you look into that system definitely. Absolutely. That you're using.
And the other thing is not being afraid to send people home.
Yeah.
So if they arrive and they're unwell, I send them straight home.
Yes. Yeah, that's you're putting the client first.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Number one, you're obviously unwell. As long as it doesn't affect their contract renewal that month, I won't charge them for the session.
Right. Yeah.
Because that just instills loyalty.
Exactly.
They'll go, TJ's thinking about me. Sometimes they'll arrive and they get out the car and they've got a chest infection. I'm like, go home.
Yeah, what do you think you're doing?
Go home.
It's like you
I don't want to miss my training. I'm like, 1 week is not going to make a massive difference.
Yeah, you're ill. I mean, it's like, 1 week out of 52 out of the year is really not going to make a difference, is it?
No.
Like, if you think
come back when you're, and I say to them, when you're feeling 100% ready, I want you to take 48 more hours and then come back.
Right.
And then I'm still going to start you a little bit slowly.
Because
you might still have a bit of that virus in there.
Well, you never know with illness, do you? Exactly what it is. Because, I mean, if you do just get a chest infection, you can self-diagnose yourself. Got a chest infection. I'll lay off it for a bit.
Anything.
Could be anything. Exactly.
There's so many bugs and viruses around at the minute.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really strict on that.
Yeah.
If they don't look right at all, in any way, or if they've got a little limp in the way they walk, or anything like that, we'll just stop for a minute and I'll just go. And I had a situation a couple of months ago where someone arrived and they didn't feel very well, but they didn't want me to cancel their session. So they told me they were fine. Yeah. And I just was looking at them halfway through their cardio warm-up and I thought, you don't look quite right. So I stopped them and I was just like, you don't look quite right. What's going on? And she's like, I have been feeling a bit funky all day. And I was like, as a PT, I have to take that quite seriously.
Yeah, of course you do.
Okay, so first of all, we're outside. We train in a park. So there's not necessarily more risk, but we're more exposed.
Yeah.
Okay. Secondly, it's my job in this session to keep you safe. And if you lie to me, I can't do that.
Yeah, of course.
If this happens again, like, you need to be open and upfront with me, but if it happens again, I'll cancel your contract immediately. Right,
yeah. No, but that's bringing home to them
it's bringing home to them how serious it is. And all it was that she had a cold coming, because she woke up the next day and she messaged me and said, oh my God, I've got a massive cold, I feel horrible. I was like...
Well, there you go. And imagine if she'd have kept pushing throughout that. Because at that point, a cold, getting ill, is a stress on your body.
Yeah.
Training is a physical stress on your body.
Yeah.
You add them two together, and then what's that going to do? You're going to be laid up for a lot longer, and you're going to have more stress on the body. So being able to, like you say, take a step back and just be like, right, again, you're looking at the long term here. I don't want to lose you for a long term illness, so therefore with this, we're going to nip it in the bud now. Come back to it.
Just take some time.
Yeah.
You know, your body will appreciate the rest.
Yeah.
Or if somebody is particularly fatigued because the stuff's going on at work. I mean, every trainer should be making a proper session plan for every session, right?
Yeah. You'd hope so.
And it's quite rare that you're ever able to run the full session. because people will arrive and they'll be like, oh, and I've got this and this is aching and I've got a little tweak over here, and you have to kind of adapt and
you get chatting as well. There's all that little talk time in there as well.
And so I've got quite a high level of quite complex clients now,
right? Yeah,
because of this approach, and so I've got a bit of a reputation for being able to work around things. And be really creative with it, because what I don't tend to do with the average client is a sort of periodized progressive plan. People come to me because every session is totally different. There's difference in it. There's a big scale thing in terms of, you know, when I do the assessment session with them, we go, their cardio fitness isn't very good, their muscular endurance isn't very good, but actually muscular strength is quite good. So over a period of 6 to 12 months, we want to balance that out. But you have to do it in a way that's fun enough to keep them engaged with it.
Exactly. And you know yourself, I mean, I know with my training, if it's so consistently same for weeks on end, I'll stagnate and I'll get bored. Whereas if it's a different session every time that you're attending, then you're more excited to have a go at something different. Now put that into a perspective of somebody brand new to exercise, and or somebody that hasn't exercised in 10-15 years. If it is so samey straight off the bat, they're going to think, hold on a minute, what am I paying this person for? What was I? I'm not really getting, this again, I don't like this. Whereas if it is different and you're doing different exercises, different techniques throughout it, yes, you may lose kind of a periodized approach, if that being that word, but you're gaining enjoyment, excitement, and guess what? They're still going to be expending energy whilst they're doing this session as well. So it will bode and tie in well with a client that is new.
Absolutely.
To keep it excited. And you know better than me, TJ, like when you first started out with that journey, because I've always come from a fitness background anyway, but when you started on that fitness journey, 6 personal trainers on the treadmill, 20-minute running, and then you're thinking, what am I paying?
Why am I paying this? Why am I paying this guy? Because every week I come back, he's asking me to do the same stuff, maybe just with a kilogram of extra weight. I can do that myself. It doesn't take any engagement. It doesn't take any kind of cerebral brain engagement. It's boring. I have one client who she's very, very, very process driven in her entire life, and she really wants the progressive periodized sessions, and I find them really boring to deliver. So I sit there staring out at the park going, okay, let's do your press ups now.
Let's see how many you can get this time.
And I'm like, if we did just 10 different exercises each week, it would be much more fun for you. But that's her personality. So you kind of you engage with it, and we've over 2 years we found a bit of a happy medium. Where you know, every week I'll put in 2 new exercises and I'll take out 2 of the things. There's the standard stuff that she'll do, but every week I swap 2 out.
And then you can always bring them back around in cycles. So say like in 4 week time, we're going to do this at week 1. We're not going to do it at week 2, 3, but at week 4 we're going to come back to it and see how we've progressed. And then you can always kind of come round and come back to do it in a cycle. So you've touched on that obviously you do stuff in a park, TJ. What things do you need to look out for when you're training in a park then? Or outdoors?
There's loads of stuff really. So the park I work in is Burley Park. It's a really, really beautiful park actually, and it's really well kept up. And the parkies are quite cool as well.
Awesome.
So for the main thing you're going to have a contention with is the weather. Right. So I'm really lucky in my park. There is a bandstand, a covered bandstand. So if it's raining or if there's been snow, we can go in there.
Brilliant.
Okay. I will go out every morning at 6:30 and check the park. Okay. So that's walking along the 3 or 4 areas around the park that I tend to train people and check the bandstand as well. There's quite a lot of human traffic that goes through that park. It's on one of the main walking routes to Leeds University. it's quite a big park, so there's a lot of dogs that get walked.
And things that happen out of dogs as well.
Yes, yes, I have to check the park for that too.
Yeah.
I've occasionally had to move because a dog owner's been lazy.
Oh, you should fine them.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be fined anyway. but
what's so interesting actually is because I've been in that park for 3 years now, most of the dogs know me.
You know by names.
So they come over, and my clients love it. They're like, middle of a set of press ups. Oh, look, there's a dog to play with. Nice.
You don't get that in a gym.
You don't get that in a gym. Some doggy love.
Yeah.
Because I'm obsessed with dogs. I do fostering.
Oh, dear.
Of, dog shelters and stuff. So every now and then I have a dog stay with me for 6 or 8 weeks.
So you just take it from the park and just be like,
you can come home with me.
Yeah.
So they get doggy breaks every now and then. So that's
awesome.
quite fun. There's one client who's a bit scared of dogs, but I take her just to a quieter part of the park where the dogs tend not to be.
Yeah.
And if one of the dogs I know comes running up to say hello, I just step out to stop it, basically.
Just make yourself big and loud, and so hopefully it runs
go,
away.
Hi Apollo, how are you doing? Nice. Okay, Apollo's mum. This client doesn't like her. That's quite good. If there's snow on the ground, can't train.
Of course.
So you will occasionally lose some time. Also, if it's too hot.
Right.
I tend to lose more sessions in the summer than I do in the winter.
Right. Yeah, just through heat. So if you think of last summer.
Yeah, last summer I lost loads of days just because I felt it was too hot for people to train.
Yeah. If you think, it was friggin' boiling last summer.
I mean, it was lovely because I would have to cancel the day and I'd be like, I'll go out on my bike. Yeah. And I'll be out on my bike 100 miles later.
It's like you're hardcore. You can do it. Yeah.
I can do it. It's fine.
Yeah.
You have to make the responsible decision, don't you?
Yeah, of course you do.
And then obviously things like in the winter, if you've got 6 sessions outside in the day, it's a long old time for you to be out. Yeah. So you have to think about hydration, you have to think about fueling yourself well, keeping yourself warm and keeping yourself well. So around about October you have to really start taking care of yourself.
Right. Okay. So your PPE, your nice scarf that you can bring with you.
Hat, gloves, scarf, nice big puffy jacket. What else do you have to be wary of?
What would you do in an instance then when there is adverse weather? Would you just stop the session, or would you do it somewhere else?
Depends on the weather.
Yeah.
Most people don't like training in the rain, so we can just move into the bandstand.
Right.
Bandstand's in the centre of the park, so wherever you are, it's a maximum 2-minute walk.
Cool.
So you can just pick up all your gear and go.
Yeah.
And then finish the session in there.
Yeah.
We've had, like last week, we had some really driving rain, and I went out to check that I had clients 5 p.m, 6 p.m, 7 p.m. So I went out at about 4 just to check that the bandstand was usable, and it wasn't actually, because the wind had been so strong with the rain that it had wet the whole of the bandstand.
Crazy.
And it was a little bit slippy.
Coming sideways.
And so the rain had come in sideways and it kind of wet the whole concrete floor. Yeah. So I just phoned all the clients and I just said, no training tonight, guys. See you next week. Yeah. And in that case, I lose out. All the sessions are prepaid, but I'm not going to charge them for that session because it's my decision to cancel.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm cancelling because I don't feel it's safe.
Yeah.
And I take that responsibility really, really seriously.
Yeah.
Because we're not in the gym.
Yeah.
We're a little bit more exposed. We have to make sensible decisions.
But there's a reason why you've got the clientele and the numbers that you've got, though. It's because of your USP of being outside, making it habitual and hobbyist type of exercise that you're doing with your clients. Brilliant. So we've touched on that. Now, one thing that listeners may not know is that you, now that we know your journey, TJ, and that you were a size 26, you're now starting a program to run an Ironman event, aren't you?
To do Ironman.
To do an Ironman, which is crazy. So if you could just talk me through the Ironman, what's it consist of then? And how big is it? How long is it? What do you do?
Yeah, so I've been involved in triathlon for 4 or 5 years. We've actually launched a triathlon club 18 months ago.
Brilliant.
Which was born out of my running club.
Right,
when the Leeds triathlon came to town 4 years ago, probably 40 or 50 people from my running club did the triathlon with no triathlon experience.
Right.
And then since then, it's just exploded. We've created this triathlon club, and as part of this journey, I've always wanted to kind of keep an eye on the long term, the bigger picture. And I've kind of had Ironman at the back of my mind because it's massive. It's big enough to scare the bejesus out of me.
Yeah.
So it's a long day. It's a 2.4 mile swim.
Yeah.
Followed by 112 miles on the bike. Followed by a full marathon, so 26.2 miles.
To finish it off, you do a full marathon.
A full marathon. After you've been on your bike for 8 hours. And you've got 17 hours to finish. 17 hours to finish.
Holy smokes, that's some distance that you're covering.
That is some distance.
But do you think that because that's your long-term goal, like, don't get me wrong, if that were in front of me, I would be scared. I would be so scared. But it's those butterflies in your stomach that make you get out of bed in the morning and you think, this is another training day that I'm going to tick off the box and just kind of towards that end goal. Because
absolutely.
Scary goals are good goals in my eyes.
Scary goals are very good goals.
Yeah.
And because I've always been quite sporty, I've always done quite a lot of brave things. I used to. So when I grew up riding and breeding horses. So I used to do show jumping and cross country and stuff like that, and that has inherent dangers in it.
Yeah, of course it does. I mean, you hear so many. Yeah, you have so many accidents on that.
So many accidents, and we were little hooligans riding around the bush.
Yeah.
So I had a couple of near-death experiences on my horses.
Bloody hell.
But the Ironman thing is really interesting, actually, because this whole journey for me started when I was 30.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, when if we go back to that list of crazy things on the wall, I had always tried to lose weight fast. And what happens is 9 times out of 10, it comes straight back.
Right.
With a little bit more.
Yeah. That rebound effect, that you get that snapback.
That's awful. And so I kind of got stuck in that cycle for a while, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. I need to essentially be a little more like the Chinese. So the Chinese plan everything in 50 and 100 year increments. Where we tend to plan things in 2 or 3 month increments.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, I need to be a little bit more long term. So when I was 30, I was like, I will know that this is a success if by the time I get to 40, I am healthier, fitter, happier, stronger than when I started this when I was 30. So if I can carry it on for 10 years and make it a lifestyle change rather than focusing on I want to lose 10 stone. Let's focus it actually on let's be healthier at 40 than I am at 30. We're coming up to me being 40, and that's in July next year.
Right, yeah.
So I was like, right, so then I need something to celebrate, a challenge that's going to push me to my very limit to celebrate this the first 10 years of this 50-year journey. So if I can get myself to a place where my lifestyle has changed, my whole life has changed actually, but exercise is such an intrinsic part of my everyday life.
That's good. Yeah.
That it's not actually a major thing.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. Then I've won the battle.
Yeah, you have, because it's part of your lifestyle. It's something that you get up in the morning and you want to do, rather than thinking, oh gosh, I've got this to do now today. So and that in itself, with having such that long-term goal, it's just going to make you achieve it, because there's no point setting people might be thinking, oh yeah, I want to set a long-term goal to do this, but I can only imagine that you've asked yourself the question, is this something that I want to do? And the answer to that's been yes. Whereas people that think that they may want something and say it as a long-term goal, well, if you don't enjoy the process before you get there, then that's going to be an quite unachievable long-term goal, really, realistically talking. But you've done a lot to change your mindset in the time in between 30 to now.
And actually the Ironman process for me started in 2017.
Right, yeah.
So in 2017, I thought Ironman's 3 years away, so I'm going to do half Ironman in 2017, so that I have a bit of a picture of what I'm going to need to do over the following few years. Okay, so I started half Ironman training. So half Ironman is a 1.2 mile swim. a 56-mile bike ride, and then a half marathon. And you get 7.5 hours to finish.
7.5.
7.5 hours to finish.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot less.
Yeah.
Time-wise, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's not even like.
Less.
Yeah.
Gosh. So I set about doing the training, and I thought the most interesting thing will be when I cross the finish line, will I feel like I have anything left in the tank?
Yes.
Or will I be like just falling over?
Right.
And I was really, really lucky. I had a very good support team.
Good.
I've got a very close group of friends. And my brother, my sister-in-law, and my little nephew, they all came out to Chester to watch me race, and they organised everything for me.
Brilliant.
So we got there 2 days before. I was able to just sit on the couch and do nothing for a couple of days. I did all my kit checks. They organised how to get me from the house to the start line. They organised to be at 5 or 6 different points through the race so I could see them and get a bit of a high five as I went past on my bike. My little nephew was there. He was holding on to a bunch of sweets, which were quite gross and sticky by the time he gave it to me, because he'd been holding on to them for 2 hours.
I'm surprised there were any left.
He was like, no, he had been given a packet and he had saved 3 for me. I was like, aren't I?
You had to take them.
I am.
Yeah.
Best auntie ever. I completed and I finished in just on 7 hours.
Right. Yeah.
Because I'm a strong swimmer and I'm a strong biker. I'm a terrible runner.
Right.
I'm a terrible runner. I've just never found running easy.
Right.
And my knees had been really bad for about 2 or 3 years, and they'd been really painful, and I'd struggled with the running. So I finished, and I thought, actually, I feel like I've got a bit more in the tank.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got to that point where I was like, I've got a bit more in the tank, but it's 3 years away, so let's just calm down.
That's it. Yeah.
What do I need to do next? Next, I need to rest my knees. So the whole of 2018, no running.
Yeah.
I just stopped. I was like, I'm not enjoying it. It's rubbish. Running is stupid, and I hate it. So I'm not doing it anymore. Stamp my feet and behave like a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
So I stopped running for the whole of 2018.
Yeah.
And I thought 2019 is going to be the year I'm going to have to fall in love with running again.
Yeah. Yeah. And how's it going so far?
Very successfully.
Oh, good.
But it was driven by a friend of mine who's going to be my business partner soon, actually.
Cool.
She's dual qualified as a running coach and a personal trainer.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So she's coming on board in the next year or so. And she was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah.
She's a runner, and she loves running. It's what she really lives for. And she's very, she likes a kind of controlled, periodized, progressive plan with everything that she does.
Yeah.
And while she was doing her treatment, she wanted to keep running.
Right.
Didn't want to be running on her own.
Yeah.
Just in case anything happened and she was unwell.
Yeah. So
she only lives a couple of miles from me, so because I have loads of time in the day, she said, will you go for a run with me, and we'll just go super duper slowly, because that's all I'm capable of right now. So because the running then wasn't about me, it was about helping somebody else.
Yeah.
I went along and we ran really, really, really slow.
Yeah.
I mean, you could walk faster than we were jogging. And we did that for 2 months.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I started to go, my knees don't hurt anymore. This is quite nice.
That's good, yeah.
My cardio base is coming up a little bit. I feel a bit fitter. I was like, okay, this is quite nice. And so I slowly got back into it. But I was like, you need to have your knees to be good for 18 months at least. Okay, you'd like them to be good for the rest of your life.
Yeah, of course. But
doing an Ironman is going to take its toll. So there's a long period of recovery that I can take after that. But I need to get everything strong.
Yeah.
So if you start at the beginning of 2019 with the aim of peaking in the middle of 2020, just start slow.
That's it. You can't go gung-ho with it, especially with your knees hurting. Probably what you've done there is, even though you may have not have thought you were going to do it at the time or in a specific way, but because you started so slow, you kind of get in the tendons, the ligaments, the connective tissue in and around that knee. Yeah, just
strengthening it all up.
Yeah, exactly.
And where are we now? End of June, and I have had no pain in my knees since January.
Look at that.
And I'm running regular 10k races now and regular 5k races, and I'm able to really put the power down.
Yes.
And my cardio base has grown because she's introduced me to the 80-20.
Yeah.
theory of running.
Right, okay. What's that for guys that don't know?
So 80% of your training done at really low intensity, with 20% of your base done at medium and high intensity. And because she's very, very specific in her personality, when she writes a training plan for me, it's very specific.
Right, yeah. Has to be done to the T.
And she has worked out 80% of the week's running, because I run 3 times a week.
Yeah.
So 80% of that will be in zone 2 heart rate.
Yeah, so that's like low.
Super low heart rate. And so in the beginning of that sort of thing, you are like really just trotting along. Right. So I can give you the numbers around that, actually. It's quite interesting. So when we started, I hadn't run for a while. I wasn't particularly fit because I had a year off of actually most sports last year.
Yeah.
And we were running 13.5-minute kilometers in order for me to be in zone 2. So because we're working off my heart rate, not hers, because she had to take steroids for the cancer treatment. But we have similar heart rates when we're both well. So we were running off my heart rate, not hers.
Right.
And then by the end of month 1, it was 12.5 minutes per kilometer to stay in zone 2.
And you were still in that.
And we're still in zone 2. Now I can run 9-minute kilometers, and I'm still in zone 2.
Crazy.
So that's how my fitness has gone up in that sort of 6 months or so. So it's a very, very interesting approach. I read, there's a guy, I won't say Matt Haig, but I don't think it is Matt Haig. There's he's the guy who's written the book about 80-20. And he breaks it down really, really simply. I'll send you guys the links that you can
Yeah, sure.
It's a very interesting book to read, because he's written one for running and one for triathlon specifically.
Oh, has he? Yeah.
So and in the book there's training plans. Probably something you could have used for your marathon all them years
ago.
My
gosh, when I was going through that, the training plan went out the window as soon as that gun went off at the start line. I did all that training, and then it got all the way to the end. I were at the front with the Africans. That's where I was.
For about 2 miles, right?
For about 2 miles. And then
you're like, there's still 24 miles to go. What have I done?
Exactly, yeah. I blame it on my wife, because she said, when we were queuing up, getting ready and everything, because I'd done no competitive running whatsoever. I did all the training, but after me, I should have done like a 10k, or I should have done like a half marathon, or just something, just to get to know a competition day before I actually went and did the marathon. And then she got in my head, she was like, oh no, get to the front then, you'll be alright. So I'm like, I'll get to the front. I'll get to the front. And I'm looking down the line, I'm thinking, these guys look like friggin' string beans, there's nothing to them. And there's a reason. There's a reason for that, because they can run bloody 5-minute miles for friggin' 26 miles. Exactly.
You can do one, maybe 2.
And that's on treadmill.
And then you're going, oh no, there's 24 miles to go. How the hell do you survive?
So I got around about 3-4 miles into the marathon, and then just all of a sudden it just got everyone were just overtaking me, and then it was the mental block, and then I'm just thinking, oh no, right. But anyway, TJ, I think we've covered quite a lot of good stuff there. I'm sorry to cut you short. I mean, I could just run through everything with you today, but maybe in future we can save that for part 2 potentially.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I mean, I'd love to talk a little bit more about your training, especially like your past triathlons that you've done and how you periodise them, so we can really get into the training. But I love how we've kind of talked about your past, and kind of like how you were once in this kind of scenario, and like your different PTs that you had, and that can be very, very helpful and useful to the guys that are listening. I think that just be unbelievable kind of background that they can hear from there.
I'd be more than happy to come back and have another chat.
Awesome. So
I always love coming to Velocity.
Brilliant. And we love having you here as well, TJ. So for anybody that's wanting to connect with you, TJ, how can they find you?
I am on Facebook as All Change Personal Training. I am on.
We've got it up here for guys that are watching on Facebook, on YouTube.
My Facebook, Insta, and Twitter all tend to be sweaty photos of me, because I always think you get these Insta influencers who have got full of filters and perfectly coiffed, perfectly make-up types, and I was like, that's not what fitness looks like.
That's not
the reality is. all it actually looks like is sweaty.
Yeah, that's hard. That's what hard work looks like, TJ. That's what doing triathlons like you eat cereal in the morning looks like.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah. Well, there's a great picture.
There's finishing the Leeds Triathlon. I got a 13-minute PB a couple of weeks ago.
13 minutes, you bet that by. PB. Bloody hell.
So Twitter and Instagram, I am All Change PT.
Yeah.
Facebook, I'm All Change Personal Training, and my website is allchangepersonaltraining.co.uk. Brilliant. Okay, I am also a sports massage therapist.
You are, which we didn't actually manage to cover, did we?
In part 2.
Yeah.
Because that's been the most interesting learning curve for me in terms of how much value sports massage can add to my PT practice and reverse.
And vice versa,
because I can now look at clients in their sessions and go, that left hip is locked up.
Yeah, you have such an anatomical view, don't you, when you look into it.
You do, and I can just stick my thumb in and go, does it hurt here? And they're like, oh yeah, it does.
Yeah,
you can just come see me for a massage.
Brilliant. So we'll wrap that up there. We'll save that for part 2.
Yeah. Okay.
And thank you very much for coming through, TJ.
Thank you for having me.
No problems.
All right,
thank
really
you.
Nice to see you again.
Cheers, guys.